si Chairman ka.
Hi, good morning. This is Clarissa, and I am your host for today. And in behalf of the Philippine Sports Commission Women in Sports, welcome to the second episode of Rise Up, Shape Up. So let us know where you are watching from because I'm broadcasting live right now from Manila. So please do comment your location below and let us know what you think. So today's episode, we will be discussing about our young girls, how to maintain an active lifestyle despite of the restrictions in the quarantine. But before that, I would like to give a shout out to our friends all the way in the Visayas and Mindanao. Maayong buntag ninyong tanan. And of course, our friends up there in the north, in the Ilocos and northern Luzon region. Hello, good morning. And of course, our friends abroad. Hello there, down in Sydney, Australia, and of course, those in New Zealand, and some of our friends in the US, and as well all across Europe, including the UK and Germany. So we've got a really wide audience today. Okay, so all of us are going through so much change during this pandemic, and the quarantine restriction has really been a challenge for us to stay active, especially for moms, on how are we going to let our kids live an active lifestyle na kahit bawal lumabas. So, truth be told, being a mom is extra challenging ngayon. Kasi aside from the quarantine restrictions, we work from home, we take care of the kids, and then we also have our homeschooling, which is really rather difficult kasi aside from taking care of your career and taking care of household chores, andyan pa yung role mo being as a teacher. So super hirap talaga ng role ngayon ng mga mommy. So and plus yung yung considering that those who live in the city medyo limited ang space. So kids don't have much space to play. So how are we going to handle that challenge? Okay, to emphasize how to play sports and how it can shape the potential and the future of our children, we would like to hear it from our Oversight Commissioner for PSC Women in Sports, no other than Commissioner A.
Good morning, everyone. Our episode for today is dedicated to all moms and female guardians because it's all about our children. As the famous quote of Nelson Mandela goes, our children are the rocks on which the future of our nation will be built. They are our greatest asset as a nation. They will be the leaders of our country, the creators of our national wealth, who will care for and protect our people. So, if we look up to our children as the future of our motherland, then their preparation to become well-rounded, dynamic, and functional through sports is the most challenging task to every parent or guardian. This vision is underscored in the role of the Philippine Sports Commission to provide leadership and direction of sports promotion and development that gives emphasis on grassroots participation. Our children must be taught early on the language of sports and active living because these are the core values to develop and practice values, morals, and character. In a world where technology has radically transformed our children's lifestyle into inactivity and idleness, the crucial role of moms to divert their children from playing of gadgets to the fun in the playing field must be highlighted. Exposure of our children to sports, play, and physical activities is a key to developing a future of healthy and productive citizenry. Rise Up, Shape Up is here to remind everyone, especially our children and their moms and families, to get up and shape up with sports and play. Thank you.
Girls from all over the Philippines who are staying active. Thank you so much, Commissioner Celia Kiram. Sports and games help in shape and dynamic upbringing. So in the past days, PSC's Rise Up and Shape Up are asked for video submissions from young girls around the Philippines who practice an active lifestyle despite the quarantine restrictions by staying active through games and even through their simple routines in their PE classes. So we have a few videos from these all. Watch it.
Hi, my name's Aliyah. I am 6 years old and I came from Davao City. Even though it's pandemic, we can still do exercise like running, push-ups, and sit-up, and even 100 push-ups sometimes. So people, that means rise up and shape up.
of Negros Oriental. I just started to practice yoga, and what I know is that the purpose of yoga is to foster harmony in the body, mind, and environment. Some benefits of yoga is to improve your posture, increase flexibility, builds muscle strength, boosts metabolism, increases blood flow, keep diseases at bay, and increase self-esteem. Also shows that yoga may help reduce stress and anxiety. Can also enhance your mood and overall sense of well-being. Regular yoga practice creates calmness.
Are you bored staying at home? No, I'm not. But not during my online class, I do something that makes my body healthy. And to make the mind healthy as well, remember we need to have a sound mind and a sound body. So let's go to the dance now. All the girls are there, so let's dance. Exercising to maintain good posture is about more than looking good. It helps you to develop strength, flexibility, and balance in your body. Posture exercises will really help to strengthen the muscles in your back. Most of all, posture exercise is an important part of our long-term health.
Jogging please. Pak. Talon lang yan, talon. Sandra, go. Loy. Go. Jump. Chelsea. Jump. Loy. Sabel, huwag titigil. Huwag titigil. Huwag titigil. Princess, konting bilis. Konting bilis. Tara, konting bilis.
Ako po si Ayana Isabel, 8 years old. Nakatira ako sa Taguig City. Ang gagawin ko po ngayon ay mag-football. Mag-training po ako at mag-dress.
Dress. Sa'yo, ang gagawin mo is zigzag run. Go na. Zigzag run. No. Tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung magayang ginagawa natin. Stretching, Isabela, properly. Magbilang ka, count 1 to 10. Tara, 5, go. Okay guys, passing. Inside part of the foot. Isabela, foot. Good. Pass. Tara. Jog in place. Tuloy-tuloy lang. Okay, good one, Chelsea. Control yung bola natin. Okay, balik sa pwesto. Good. Pass. Jog in place. Jog. Huwag masyadong malakas. Primo, alis ka dyan. Alis ka muna dyan ng bibig. Ready, set, go. 30 seconds, go. Hiway mo lang. Yan. Okay. Princess, tingin sa camera. Good. Let's go. Isabel. everyone. Okay.
Hi, I'm Kian. I'm 14 years old and I'm from Quezon City. The physical activity that I've been doing this pandemic is swimming. I've been doing my swimming training for 5 years already, pero nung nag-lockdown nung March, hindi kami nakapag-training up until June kasi that was the time na GCQ na ang Metro Manila. Ang training namin consists of strengthening power sets, pace work, and endurance. I train every Tuesday to Saturday from 3 p.m. to 4:45 p.m. and Sunday around 8 a.m. to 9:45 a.m. I also do land training at home pero kailangan namin mag-join sa Google Meet para ma-check ng coaches namin kung correct yung form, speed, at pantayan din kami sa ginagawa namin. Thank you!
Rise up and shape up. Rise up and shape up. Rise up and shape up. Rise up and shape up.
Thank you so much, kids, and to everyone who submitted the videos. Shout out to our girls, Aaliyah, Corinne, Nicole, Chloe, Raphael, Gabrielle, Angel, Dane, Kyra, Princess Angela, Cassandra May, Ayana Isabel, Chelsea Marie, and Cian. Keep it up, girls. And of course, thank you to the parents, to the mommies and daddies who took time and effort to their girls' fitness routine. So please do send a heart emoji for our girls who did such a good job in keeping active despite the quarantine. Now, our event sponsor, Pocari Sweat, supports the PSC's programs on sports and fitness and has prepared 5 special gift packs for you to win. All you have to do is post a photo of yourself doing physical activity, sweating it out, and of course, shaping up. Don't forget to caption it with something about hydration. Use the hashtag #up, shape up, and of course, hashtag Pocari Sweat Philippines. A sample is flashed on the screens. Entries will only be accepted until November 15, Sunday. Okay, so thank you, Pocari Sweat. Now let's move on to the second part of this morning's program. To explain us more about designing an active lifestyle for our children and of course, so that we could more well-balanced, well-rounded kids. Our next speaker works with children and adolescents and families, and she provides therapy in parenting seminars. She has conducted and co-facilitated workshops for basic play therapy and advocates for the rights of the Filipino child. Let us all welcome Dr. Riza
we can promote value and play therapy. So allow me to just discuss what is the Phil Play. No? So our vision is that we envision a world where each child can play, blossom, and flourish. And it is our mission to create a culture that respects the dignity of children and nurtures their well-being through play. We want to foster the competent and ethical practice of play therapy. And lastly, we want to provide a community of support for the self-care of play therapists. So that is what Phil Play is all about. And we were able to publish a book, The Magic of Play: Children Heal Through Play Therapy. So this is authored by Dr. Lourdes, otherwise known as Tita Honey Karandang. Okay, so our session intentions for this webinar is to talk about play. What is the value of play for children, and maybe not just for children, but also for adults? And perhaps, if you will allow me, if I can talk about the therapeutic value of play. Why is it that we have to promote play? Pwede bang, ano na lang, mag-gadget play na lang yung mga bata? Pwede na bang, they just play in the backyard, tapos, konting laro, konting sipa, tapos kung sinong natalo, iiyak, ay hayaan na lang natin ang mga bata. Pwede bang ganun na lang? But maybe through the empowerment of the knowledge that we can have for today, we can understand the therapeutic value of play. And in fact, we can even promote play across all ages, even across gender. And maybe briefly, we can talk developmental stages of play, that it is not limited to just preschoolers or just for children, but even for children across ages until preteens. And then maybe at the end, we can talk about how girls can play. Next slide. So let's talk about play. What is play? I don't know about how we understand play. Baka para sa atin, ano ba ang play? Parang, ano ba yon? Basta ba nagbabasketball lang ako? Play ba yon? Kailangan ba na may board games or may gadget? Is that what is called play? But I think what we have to understand that play is more than that. There is a bigger picture of what play is. Play is a natural way of being. You don't need to teach a child to play. Hindi po ba? Napansin ninyo, iwan lang ninyo yung bata sa tabi, bigyan lang ninyo ng lapis, bigyan lang ninyo ng kahon, bigyan lang ninyo ng chalk. Anong gagawin ng bata? The child will naturally find its way to expressing himself. And that is the natural language of children. It is to play. Play comes so naturally even before they speak, even before they learn to walk, even before they learn to write. Playing is so natural for children. Even as young as infants, napansin ho natin, no? Miss Clarissa, you were talking about it earlier. You have 2 children. And mapansin niyo, even as young as infants, they will just get any toy, they will bang it. Magsha-shake lang sila, naglalaro na po yan, ang bata. Yung kinukuha nila yung kanilang toe, tapos start to, shake or suck their toe. They see a small brush, they'll bang it. It's a way for children to explore. So playing is not just important, as our mentor, Dr. Honey Karandang, will always emphasize. Play is essential for a child's total development of his being. Bakit natin nasasabing total development? Because when a child plays, the play engages the holistic development, and this includes physical, intellectual, social, emotional, and even psychological. Nakikita natin na pag naglalaro sila, it develops their gross motor and their fine motor skills. It develops their ability to coordinate their eye, their hand, their bodies, the movement, the balance. At the same time also, it is intellectual because it promotes for children how to do timing, how to observe, what is their strategy to play, kung tatayo sila dito, what is going to happen? They're learning how to do critical thinking, logical thinking, and analytical thinking. It's also social, it promotes social development because they need to relate to other people. Kailangan nilang mabasa kung ano ba yung feedback ng kanilang kalaro. Yung kalaro ba nila parang natutuwa or napipikon sa kanila, or are they able to strategize? Are they able to interact well? Pag natatalo sila, are they also able to regulate their emotions? Kasi minsan nakikita natin ang mga bata pag natatalo, napipikon. And they give up. They don't want to play already. So eventually, as they continue to play, natututo sila that, pag naglalaro, there will be a winner, there will be a loser. And what can we do better para manalo tayo next time? So that's where play is also very helpful when it comes to their social development. And as I said, pati yung emotional development nila. Paano nila i-handle yung pagkapanalo or pagkatalo? Or how is it that they can handle their emotions when a teammate will encourage them? Or on the other hand, a teammate will tell them, kasi natalo tayo kasi ito ginawa mo eh. So, siyempre, mapapaisip yung bata. What can I do better? Para mananalo tayo dito? And also for them to value the play and to continue playing in spite of these setbacks. And lastly, psychological. Kasi nakikita nila na pag naglalaro sila, nagkakatuwaan, masaya sila, and pag naglalaro, kahit papano nakakalimutan nila ang problema, and of course, play is just a child's natural way of being. Okay. So next slide. So ang sabi nga natin, play is the highest expression of human development, for it alone is the expression of what is in the child's soul. And in PhilPlay, we really promote play because ang nasabi nga natin, play is a child's natural way of expressing himself. Pag naglalaro ang bata, hindi mo na kailangan turuan. Kusang lumalabas yung pagiging mapaglaro ng bata. And the value of play is that when they're playing, something internal or something that is inside of them is coming out. Whereas, ang natural kasi sa mundo is a lot of people, like ang parents, ang teacher, they're all imposing into the child the shoulds, what they have to do, ganon. Pero when children are playing, it allows them to express what is inside of them. What is inside of them is expressed out. So it includes their thoughts, their feelings, their ideas. And when this is promoted, when this is supported, this is where the therapy of play comes in, because it gives them value. It promotes the value of the dignity of the child, of the wisdom of the child. Pag naglalaro ang bata, normal yun, tama yung kanilang ginagawa, dahil ang paglalaro walang tama, walang mali. Pwera lang if it's an organized game, no? But when you give a child chalk and a carton, when the child is writing on the board, the child is in his moment of flow. Flow is a psychological term when the child is fully engaged in the activity. Yung kanyang 5 senses is fully engaged and the child is present in the activity. So when the child is very engaged, dito mo makikita na yung bata is just being himself. Child promotes the natural being of the child. And again, in play therapy, we promote authenticity in the child, na pwedeng lumabas yung kanyang totoong pagkatao, ang kanyang buong pagkatao. And also, the play allows, as I said earlier, the holistic promotion of all the dimensions of the child's development. Next slide. In this slide po, I just want to inform you kung ano po yung literature that tells us that play is not just play, na parang, maglalaro lang, hayaan mo na ang bata, or patahimikin natin ang bata, maglaro lang siya dyan. Pero the value of play, according to Jean Piaget, play is the children's means of making sense of their experience in order to make it part of themselves. Kung nakita natin, no, pag naglalaro ang bata, minsan para they're playing out what is in their mind. And it allows them to make sense of that experience. Yung bang paulit-ulit yung paglalaro nila. Siguro mga magulang napansin niyo bakit yung bata pag nagpapakwento sa inyo ng storybooks, bakit paulit-ulit yung bata, ano? Halos mag-iisang daang beses na natin binabasa yung story, paulit-ulit pa rin yung bata. Natutuwa pa rin sila doon sa ending ng story or ng video. It's because it's a child's natural way of understanding how the world works. So they're trying to understand at their own pace, with their own language, what is happening externally. So unti-unti ini-internalize nila yung mundo, yung kanilang pagkaintindi ng experiences, and then from there they will accommodate. So accommodation is a term, according to Jean Piaget, na pilit nilang iniintindi. Secondly, by Jerome Bruner, he says, play under the control of the player gives to the child his first and the most crucial opportunity to have the courage to think, to talk, and perhaps to be. Sabi nga natin, to play allows the child's natural expression. So kung hayaan natin silang mag-play, it gives them the courage to express themselves. Nagkaroon ng experience si Dr. Hani Karandang na in one of our play therapy sessions, she met 2 children who came for play therapy, and laking gulat niya because when the children came, they just sat there at hindi sila makapaglaro. Bilang magulang, magugulat tayo because, to play is the most natural. But why is it that these 2 children cannot play? And, behind that, the reason is because the children went through some trauma. And behind the trauma, they were in a frozen state. Hindi sila makapaglaro. Ako din, bilang magulang, pag hindi ko nakikita yung mga bata maglaro, ako mismo matatakot kasi hindi to normal. Parang kung nagkasakit sila at hindi sila makapaglaro, minsan iniisip ko na lang na sana hindi sila may sakit, no? Sana makapaglaro lang sila. And I will be happy because this is a child's natural way to be, for them to express themselves. So I really agree with what Jerome Bruner tells us, that to play allows them to be. And lastly, Erik Erikson tells us that to play allows children to make sense of the world, which is an enormous task for young children. They're constantly at risk of being overwhelmed by events and feelings, especially eto tayo, nasa pandemic tayo. And children do not understand, lalo na yung mga mas bata, no? Hindi nila naiintindihan, ano ba ang pandemic? Ano ba itong COVID? Ito ba yung lumulutang ng mga alikabok? But, children do not understand what is so abstract. And they can really easily be overwhelmed by things that they don't understand. But play remains an indispensable harbor for the overhauling of shattered emotions after periods of rough going in the social seas. So to play out is the most natural self-healing method that childhood affords. So I emphasize, play is the most natural self-healing. And tulad ng nasabi po ni Ma'am Celia, to engage in sports, to be more physical, to play out what is internal or what is inside them, it is self-healing because play is the highway for children to find their pace, to find their rhythm, to find their groove. Next slide. So kung nasasabi ko at nauulit ko lang po, no? Play allows children a safe psychological distance from problems and allows children to express their true thoughts and feelings in ways that are safe and non-threatening. Parang kung pag may problema, pag naglaro ang bata, dito nila makikita na parang pwede kong isantabi ang aking problema, yung mga what makes me anxious. Pag naglaro ako, mas nahahandle ko yung mga problema ko. Hindi po ba kayong mga magulang, kayong mga coach, kayong mga relatives, mga bata sa bahay, kayo rin po mismo baka na-experience ninyo. Pag may pinagdadaanan ho kayo. And instead of facing the problem head on, if you take a few steps back and you try to do a simple activity just for a short while. So it can be whether you go outside for a walk, maglaro lang muna kayo ng favorite game ninyo, o kaya mag-exercise ng panandali, house chores, as long as it's anything that you enjoy doing. Hindi po ba napansin ninyo, mas mahinahon ho kayo. Mas hindi na kayo galit, mas hindi na ho kayo yung nanggigigil. It's because when we are engaged in activities or playing, it allows us, are the things that cause us to be anxious, and we are able to feel safe and not be threatened as a therapeutic tool so that children can cope with personal difficulties and challenges. And this is what's behind field play. Na it is not just playing, but there is therapy involved or behind play. Okay? So, what makes play? Ngayon naman po, what we can talk about naman is, why do we play? Why is it that children need to play? So, ito po, no? Play is a way for people to have a cathartic release of their pent-up feelings, whether it is you're sad about being judged, or process what happens in the playroom to the outside world. So tulad rin ng playroom, yung sports that the PSC is trying to promote here. When they're doing physical activities, like tulad ng napakita natin sa video, no, pag naglalaro ang bata and we employ the therapeutic value of play in the spirit of play, then we will also allow them to have that momentary cathartic release of some emotion. So sabihin natin sa bata, no, kapag naiinis sila sa kapatid nila dahil napipikon sa paglaro, sabihin natin, o sige, gusto mo bang sa labas muna tayo, let's play football. Yung let's just kick the ball, tapos i-hit natin yan against the wall. Okay, let's do that 10 times. So, after the 10 times na nagsisipa yung bata, nailabas na niya yung, kumbaga, pag pinagbawa an emotion behind the child, and we allow the child to express it. Hindi natin sinasabing, bawal yan, huwag kang magalit sa kapatid mo. Ano ka ba? Kapatid mo yan, ate mo yan, huwag kayong mag-away. To release, to acknowledge the pain. A second one that makes play therapy healing is when children are engaged in play, there is some form of wish fulfillment. Just like in a dream, that hindi po ba kapag ang child naglalaro tulad ng blocks, block building, patong-patong, sasabihin nila, dito ako yung prinsesa, tapos susuot ako ng magandang damit, ganito. And in that, their wishes, what are their dreams for themselves, it may not be again, because it is very cathartic, it makes the child feel empowered to be creative, of power. Tulad ng nasabi ko in the earlier slide, because of the wish fulfillment, that they can be anyone that they wish to be, or they can do any, versus always having the mentality that they are weak, that they are the victim, they are helpless, or that they are failures. In the play therapy na ginagawa namin, children can enact that at first talo sila sa paglalaro. So may dalawang soldiers naglalaro. And then tuturuan niya para gumaling siya. Tapos sa susunod na maglalaro, mananalo na siya. So in this playing out of the activity, the child is able to magagawa siya ng paraan. So it gives children a sense of power. They're able to also be cathartic, developing their sense of competence, to be hopeful, to value their abilities. Eventually, they can develop their self-worth. This is really the value, the belief that they matter, that they are important, and that they are good enough, or they are good at things. And if we continue to acknowledge, to affirm them, bigyan sila ng oras sa paglaro, naiisip nila, or ballpen, or yung mga lumang crayons, at nagsusulat sila doon, or bigyan sila ng ng pinaglumaang bola, yung lumang ping-pong paddle. Mama, o kaya kong maglaro ng yung ping-pong na-hit ko siya ng 2 times. Kahit sabihin natin 2 times lang, pero para sa bata, ang laking bagay na nun. Na-hit na niya yung ping-pong 2 times versus na-hit ko yung ball ng 2 times. So, tayo bilang magulang, bilang mga coach, we are here. We can promote their self-worth by being very supportive, by being positive, to see the positive, to see the effort, to see their competency, their abilities, and to develop their sense of empowerment. Okay, next slide. Another way that play therapy is very healing and very therapeutic for children, it's because it makes the child see beyond what is, that they can go beyond and to hope and to dream. Parang pag naglalaro sila, sasabihin nila, ako naman bida. O kaya, gusto ko ako yung captain. Ako yung captain dito sa team natin. O ito gagawin natin, ha? So, they're able to hope to take in certain roles as they play. And, as they play team by team, na pag nanalo sila, kahit na better, they can improve their play. And lastly, authenticity. A child can play out and express their deepest reality, feelings, thoughts, their needs and wishes, which contribute to finding their voice and their power. Hindi po ba, pag we continue to promote our inner voice through play, through expressing and creating, it makes us be more in touch with my true sense of person, my authentic self. Kasi po ba, kanina nasabi ko, in this world, kasi ang bata is expected na sumunod at sumunod at sumunod lang. But when a child is given the space and the time to be, to play, then eventually, they will find their inner true person. Na ito ako, ito yung gusto ko, these are my thoughts and my feelings. And that includes the different forms of play, which I will talk about later. Okay? So these are what makes play truly therapeutic and the value of play. Huwag ho natin maliitin ang batang naglalaro. Kasi ang batang naglalaro ay naglalaro. And that is a child's role. Sabi ho nga ni Tom Stoppard, no? Because children grow up, we think a child's purpose is to grow up. But a child's purpose is to be a child. A child's purpose is to be a child. Hindi pa ho siya adult. Hindi pa ho siya equipped to be an adult. So hayaan ho natin ang batang maglaro because that is what a child's natural way of being. Okay, so next slide. Dito po, pag-usapan ho natin, how can a child play across the ages? Sabi ko nga natin, you are never too young or too old to play. Siguro pwede ko kung kayong matanong ng sandali and you don't need to answer, but just take a few moments. In what way have you played in the past few days? Paano ho kayo nakapag-engage in activities? It can be physical, it can also be intellectual or cognitive. It can be psychological play. Pwede ho yun. For as long as I said, it is a way that you can be in touch with your natural self. It is something that is cathartic. It allows you to release your emotions. It allows you to be creative and allows you to be empowered. So, in what way have you played? So, my way of playing is that I go walking. I walk for an hour, that's my exercise. But also when I am playing, that is where I'm able to think freely. Na wala akong iniintindi na anong gagawin mamaya, anong lulutuin mamaya, yung mga anak ko ba, yung asawa ko ba, because I am just by myself. And that is, again, being in touch with my natural self. So that is also play. Okay, so in the next slide, we'll talk about, I will break it up into 3 stages of how the stages of children that they can play. You know? So I talk about early childhood, I'll talk about the middle childhood, and I'll talk about the preteens. So the early childhood is the stage between 5 to about 6 or 7 years old. Kasi this is the stage that they are just actively playing. Ito yung age na nanggagaling pa lang sila sa kanilang preschool o kaya nasa health center sila, daycare. So hindi muna sila masyadong involved sa academics. Yung papasok sila sa school, naglalaro, meron silang kantahan, meron silang mga worksheets, and they will listen to the teacher or the blackboard. But we can see that children, when they play, may konting pagbabago ang kanilang paglalaro because in the younger age, where they are just doing parallel play, ang tawag po natin parallel play, meaning I am doing my solitary play. I am probably, let's say, 3 or 4 years old. Yung bata naglalaro, pero wala siyang kalaro. There can be a child beside him or her, but they're not engaged with one another. So that is what we call parallel play. But entering already the early childhood stage, they are already performing or conducting what we call associative or cooperative play because it involves interaction between playmates. And not only that, yung paglalaro nila, minsan merong what we call, it's organized. Organized to play together because they need to accomplish something. Maybe to win because it is structured games or board games or meron silang project and they need to communicate and interact with other people. So nakita natin sa video, mga pictures dito, it can be like 4 children, tapos meron silang project, gagawa sila ng kung ano man ang art project nila. In the lower picture, so merong si ate, tinuturuan niya yung dalawang nakakabatang kapatid niya, and they're doing some art painting, o kaya kahit na nasa beach lang sila at nagtatatakbo, that is already associative or cooperative play because it involves playmates. Okay. So, in the next slide, ano ba ang kahalagahan ng cooperative play during the early childhood? This helps children to promote their creativity, their social skills, to regulate their emotion, and most importantly, it develops a sense of autonomy and initiative, which is the primary thrust for the early childhood stage. Kailangan din kasi nila matutunan to be autonomous and to initiate, to be a self-starter. Kasi ang paglalaro po, no, it complements the psychological development of children. And play is a good vehicle for that. Na pag naglalaro, they will come to say, kaya ko yan, gagawin ko yan. Okay? So importante po yan, no? To develop a sense of autonomy and initiative. Kasi kung hindi po natin promote ang paglalaro nila, they will always be stuck with the mentality na hindi ko alam paano maglaro, hindi ko alam, ayoko gawin yan. Okay, next slide. Let's go to the middle childhood. So in the middle childhood, this is this age where children are already in their elementary stage, mga grade 1 to grade 6. So mga nasa edad na 7 to about 9 or 10 years old kasi this is where they're engaged in social play. So, mas kaya na nilang maglaro ng mga structured and in fact competitive games. So dito natin nakikita dito sa PSC where you promote competitive sports. So the children follow rules. They follow the organization, the organizational structure, games, rules, no? And this is where they can already begin to engage in hobbies. Yung bang parang napansin nila na may hilig sila sa pag-basketball or sa pag-swimming, pwede na silang mag-umpisa ng basic yoga, yung running, pwede tulad sa video kanina. These are hobbies that it becomes their introduction to sports. Siyempre, hindi ba? Doon nag-umpisa na nagkaroon sila ng hilig maglaro. At dito natin napansin, because na in the earlier stage, no, na promote natin yung kanilang sense of autonomy and initiative. Coming from that sense of initiative, mapapansin nila na meron silang hilig in a certain sport or a certain physical exercise. So it becomes a hobby. And from that hobby, pag tuluyan natin itong i-promote at i-support, let's give them the right coaches, let's give them the right time, that right training, the right mindset, eventually they can go into sports and recreational activities. So let's focus on the activities that they can be good at, that it can build their competence. So dito sa middle childhood kasi, no, they are at the period that they are focused on education and their social skills, because again, they are in the school setting that society requires of them. Pero pwede natin i-complement ang kanilang focus sa pag-aaral with physical activities para mabalanse rin ang overall development ng bata. So next slide. So in the middle childhood, we want to develop their sense of industry. So yung bang coming from a sense of autonomy and initiative, ang susunod na stage dito is they will develop their sense of industry where they can build their sense of competence. And this is where, as I said earlier, they can develop their competence in a certain sports. It can be also some creative ways like playing. It can be in theater. It can be in some arts. It can also be in some literature. But ang dami pwedeng pasukan ng play therapy, no? But this is where middle childhood stage, dito nila nakikita kung saan sila pwedeng mag-focus. So kayo po, napapansin ba ninyo yung mga anak ninyo, especially in the middle childhood stage, are venue to express themselves? Have you heard them say like, Mama, gusto kong mag-try ng music? Or baka may nasabi sila na, Lola, gusto kong subukan na magpinta o mag-drawing. Tapos napansin ninyo, okay? So in the next slide, this is where you will see na huwag tayong mawala sa what is so innate in our culture. Dito sa Filipino culture, ito na kinalakihan natin po yung Filipino games. So gusto ho natin i-mention to, no? Yung paglalaro ng mga bata ng luksong tinik, piko, sungka, jump rope. Kahit nasa backyard, pwede ho silang maghanap ng space, kahit na anong materyales na maglaro. Ako po, hanggang ngayon, meron kaming sungka sa bahay. Kayo po ba may sungka sa bahay? Meron ho ba? Huwag ho tayo hindi ko, bilang respect po sa inyo, there are some beliefs kasi na pag may sungka sa bahay, parang merong mga pamahiin ho tayo, no? Pero kami po, I associate sungka with playing, and I remember I was very good at sungka. Lagi ho ako nananalo sa sungka. Kayo po ba? What are some games that you played in and that you have fond memories because you know that you enjoyed playing in the company of your family, of your playmates, and you know you're good at it. Okay? And so hindi lang ho Filipino games, but dito po ang thrust ng Rise Up, Shape Up ng Philippine Sports Commission. Pwede ho tayo mag-engage in running, badminton, kahit na yung simpleng laro na pagsisipa ng bola. These are already simple ways to promote sports and physical activities. And then the next stage is pre-teens. Ito na po yung age between 10 to 13 years old. And at this stage, they're already beginning to express their personal interests and in fact, selective in activities and groups. Yung pag nagyayayaan kayong maglaro, sasabihin nila ayaw nila. Diba? Parang sabihin mo ng magulang, halika na, dati naglalaro naman tayo ng ganyan ayaw na nila. So pipilitin ba natin? Well, respective of their age, when they are already in their preteens and especially entering into their teenage years, they are already beginning to express their interests, their hobbies, and bilang magulang, sometimes we have to give them that space also. Okay. Also in the preteens, they're more able to engage in competitive sports and recreational hobbies. So ito kasi yung paraan nila para mag-hang out with their friends. O kung hindi naman, it's their solitary form of leisure. Yung parang para sa kanila lang, yung solo lang nilang activity. And it's okay for teenagers o yung mga preteens na minsan ayaw nilang sumali because there is something that is, there's a psychological development happening with them. Ano po ba yun? So in the next slide, ma-explain po natin ng sandali, no? Kasi in the preteens, so kayo pong mga magulang na merong mga anak na nasa age 10 and onwards sa mga 19, you might be wondering, bakit yung aking anak na magbibinata or magdadalaga, bakit parang hindi ko na siya kilala? Yung dating kayakap-yakap ko na kinikis-kis kong mga anak, ngayon pala sagot. Ngayon ayaw sumali sa mga family dinner namin, ayaw maglaro. Bakit ganun? Nag-iba na ba yung anak ko? What is going on? Actually, yung preteens natin is on a journey. It's a new journey. It's a psychological growth towards their self-identity. They're developing peer relations with those of similar interests kasi it's a way for them to get feedback. It's a way for them to see kung sino sila, kung tinatanggap ba sila. That's why I said, no, yung sense of belongingness. It's also a way for them to understand themselves by seeing how others, really po, pamilya ang core group nila. Pero as they enter into their teenage years, they expand their circle, moving towards their friends and their peers. And so they get their affirmation, they get their the approval, the recognition from their peers. So mas nagiging malaki ang role ng kanilang mga kaibigan more than just family. And so this what is happening to them is truly for the core purpose of exploring their identity. Minsan tama, minsan miss, minsan parang nakikita mo yung anak mo, bakit kahapon nag-makeup siya, ngayon naman parang hindi nagsuklay ng buhok yung anak ko. Well, it's still part of their exploring themselves na yung mood nila, kinikilala nilang sarili nila. So, kahit na tayo bilang magulang, nasisiraan na tayo ng ulo kasi hindi natin nababasa ang ating anak. Parang okay lang, chillax lang tayo, parang let's just give them the space. For as long as the boundaries, the limitations are observed, you know, yung limitations of mutual respect, obedience. Our next slide. So, ang paglalaro, it's a way for all of us to internalize our experience, to discover challenges, for us to be healthy, to laugh and have fun, to work and imagine together. We learn to lead, to express and explore, to speak our ideas, to develop our inquiring mind, to speak, read, to write, to manage ourselves in the midst of going through very stressful times. Okay? So next slide. So dito po, yung ating last slide, gusto ko lang i-mention, ano ba ang mga paraan that girls can play? You know, it can be very misleading pag lagi natin naiisip na boys lang ba ang pwedeng mag-play sa labas ng bahay? Bakit ang girls hindi pinapayagang lumabas? At kung nakakulong sa loob ng bahay, hindi pwedeng lumabas, ibig sabihin, hindi nga makapaglaro ang mga bata, especially or quarantine. We can express ourselves. We can be engaged in the arts. We can write, we can journal, we can paint, we can do some form of sculpture, yung anak ko ngayon, no, they're doing car modeling at nagpipinta sila. So that is still form of expressive arts. Pwede rin dance and movement. And this is where the PSC is promoting that we can engage in physical activities, competitive sports, and habang naka-quarantine tayo, we can still do that even inside the house. Pwede nating continue to refine our skills, our eye-hand coordination, our balance, our sharpness, our acuity, our skills in handling the rackets. So pwede pa rin yun kahit na nasa garden lang tayo or kahit na nasa bahay lang, you can find ways. Yung naalala niyo po ba yung mga minute to win it? 'Di ba? Kahit na baso at toothpick, pwede mong gawan ng paraan para maglaro and to practice your acuity. Pwede rin sa paraan ng music. So pagsasayaw. So with music, you dance, kahit na simpleng TikTok nga, it's a way just to keep your body active. Kasi kung, if you start giving up on one, hindi malayo na isipin natin na you can slowly give up and move into detachment, and you go into some inactivity already, and before you know it, isolated na and alienated na yung tao. Some other forms of play therapy can be in the form of drama, theater, and other creative arts. So yun po, na these are some ways that we can engage in play and sports activities. Tulad ng napakita sa video, it can be like some form of stretching, yoga poses, paglalaro sa bahay, pagtatalon, jumping rope, kahit na magtatakbo lang sa labas lang ng bahay niyo, ikutin mo yung bahay ninyo, pabilisan or patagalan. But of course, make sure po na balanced ang inyong lifestyle, that you are still able to observe proper nutrition, adequate sleep, and balanced with your online classes. Okay po? So I'd like to end with this one about play. Sabi po ni Plato, you can discover more about a child in an hour of play than in a year of conversation. And so in play therapy, when a child expresses his natural way of playing, mas nakikilala natin ang bata. Kaysa pilit na pinapasalita natin ang bata na hindi naman kusa at hindi natural ang paglalaro para sa kanya. Okay? So, maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat sa pakikinig po sa webinar na to, and happy playing.
Thank you so much, Ms. Riza Nang, for the very insightful webinar. Sobrang ang dami naming natutunan, mga mommies. And kahit ako na as a mommy, and I've also actually interned shortly for Dr. Honey Karandang. Akala ko medyo alam ko na how to go about it, pero ang dami pa palang aspects na kailangan i-consider. So playing is just not playing. Talagang it goes deep into the psychological aspect of the child development. Nakakatuwa how webinars like these make us more mindful parents, and we become more aware of our children's needs. So one last question before we go, no, Ms. Risa, kasi di ba so it's so easy give a gadget to a child pag medyo busy kami, di ba? Kasi sabay-sabay ang work from home, taking care of the kids, all those things pile up, and mom gets overwhelmed. And to get your child to sit still and stay quiet while you're working from home, diba? Para matahimik. So, paano naman po natin may encourage mag-play, our children without, creating meltdowns, without damaging the relationship between parent and child? Kasi, diba, humans are naturally aversive to loss. So if you take away the iPad, you trigger a meltdown. So paano po natin mababalance yun? We can make play more enticing than the gadget.
Okay, sorry. So it's really difficult for children. It will be Hello, okay po ba ang signal? Yes po, no? Okay. Kasi po, mahirap din sa bata who has already been so accustomed to playing. So, what parents can do is they can model to children that sila mismo, they're not going to be engaged or be so preoccupied with gadget games. So, magandang tanong muna yan. Kayo po, bilang magulang, are you also modeling to children that you are engaged in physical activities? Para po, it will be easy for children to copy the parents who are engaged in physical activities. Number two, pag naglalaro po ang magulang, baka pwedeng yayain natin ang bata, sabihin natin na, si daddy gustong maglaro ng pingpong, halika maglaro tayo ng pingpong. Tapos kung yung bata ay medyo ayaw niya, ganun, bigyan natin ng tips, simple activities to build up on it. Huwag natin kasi bibiglaan yung bata na competitive sports kagad. Let's give them a short introduction to the game, the activity. Let's build on their confidence to play. Kasi minsan din, pag ang bata umaayaw, let's ask ourselves the reason. Why is the child avoiding to play? Di ba po, Miss Clarissa, baka kailangan din natin malaman, why is the child avoiding? Maybe because they feel that they are not good enough. So let's address that. Let's give them little doses of confidence that they can play. And then maybe pwede natin gradually also to introduce them to playing outside para ma-decrease yung kanilang gadget time. Kumbaga, dati, 2 oras silang naglalaro ng gadget games. Gawin natin unti-unti. So, anak, sabihin natin, anak, today maglalaro tayo sa labas ng 30 minutes. Okay? Pero makakapaglaro ka pa rin ng gadget, pero siguro 30 minutes laro tayo sa labas. Tapos sa susunod na linggo, you increase your playtime outside. In that way, the child also doesn't parang hindi siya mabibigla na totally na lang natanggalan siya ng paglalaro. Because, Miss Clarissa, as you said, a child can have a meltdown na parang binigla natin. So, unti-unti, introduce it to them and then give them some doses of success to build on their self-esteem. And then, maybe you can also be mindful of their developmental abilities. Meaning, kapag mas bata sila, baka konting sipa-sipa lang muna. But if they're older, you can introduce more rules na kaya nilang sundan yung rules na yan. So, that's how we can make it easier for children not to have a meltdown when they want to be more engaged with gadgets, is to, number one, as parents, we also have to model that we are being engaged. And number two, let's give children some doses of play, na huwag natin sila biglain, but at the same time, let's build their confidence to play.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Riza, for that very insightful answer. So as much as we would like to delve in further and discuss this further, unfortunately, medyo kapos na po tayo sa oras. But hopefully, we can have you over again next time. So thank you so much. To see you soon again. Thank you. So that was a very insightful discussion with Miss Risa Nang, and I have learned so much, and I'm sure kayong mga mommies din, marami din kayong natutunan over this course of webinar with Miss Risa. Now, shall we move on for today's mindful practice? Of course, we will give the floor to our yoga and meditation teacher, no other than Miss Eileen Tupas.
Introduction, Clarissa. And so for all of you who are participating in today's segment, thank you so much for taking the time to learn more about these things that can really help you navigate more of the challenges that we find ourselves in. And so for today's mindfulness practice, I thought that before I started, I just give a brief definition of what mindfulness is, because those of you who didn't join us the first session, this might be the first time you've heard of it, and so it's just good to have a little bit of a background so that you can further appreciate what you're doing. So there is no universal definition of mindfulness, but the one that I like using is the one that's been shared by Jon Kabat-Zinn, who's the founder of mindfulness-based stress reduction. And I favor his explanation because it's very accessible to people who've never done this before. And so one way to think about mindfulness is it's really just a way of paying attention, which is something we've been doing our whole life. So anytime we're engaged in any kind of activity, we're paying attention. And so mindfulness is just a way of paying attention. It's just that it has three specific qualities which differentiate it from our normal modes of paying attention. And so the first thing that distinguishes mindfulness is we're paying attention deliberately on purpose, okay, as opposed to normal modes of being where we allow our attention to be hijacked by distractions in the environment. So when we're being mindful, we're a lot more intentional, we're a lot more deliberate about what we're paying attention to. So there's a bit more of an effort to sustain our awareness. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second is that when we're being mindful, we are training our attention on what's making itself present in this moment. So our experience right now as it unfolds, that's what we're paying attention to. And again, this is very different from our normal modes of being, where our attention either goes into the past, we're reminiscing, remembering, recollecting, or it's going into the future. When we're anticipating, we're planning, we're thinking about what to eat for dinner, we're thinking about the meeting we have to prepare for tomorrow. And so mindfulness, again, is a little different because it's about training our awareness on, what's unfolding for me right now? How is life showing up at this very moment? And then the third and final characteristic of mindfulness is that it invites us to relate to our present circumstances with kindness, with curiosity, with warmth, as opposed to our normal mode, which is to continuously assess, evaluate, and judge. So rather than having an experience and then automatically thinking, is this good, is this bad, is this going to forward my intentions, is this inconvenient? Mindfulness invites us to, just let things be as they are. Just for now, let's suspend the judgments. And so that's it. When we're being mindful, we're paying attention on purpose, on our present moment experience in a manner that is kind, warm, and receptive. Okay, so there are a huge variety of mindfulness techniques. The one that I chose for us this morning, I chose for two reasons. Okay, one has to do with relevance, because many of us right now, this morning session was geared towards parents. We're dealing with, on the one hand, a sense of overwhelm. Things are just so much harder to do in these circumstances compared to before COVID-19. It takes twice, thrice, 4 times as much time and energy to accomplish the same number of things that we used to. And so the sense of overwhelm is massive. People feel trapped, suffocated, pressured, and so on and so forth. And so this technique is designed to help create a sense of internal resource so that there's just a little bit more space. Okay. The other thing is that besides feeling overwhelmed, a number of us are really just feeling ungrounded, off balance, decentered. I mean, every week it's a new normal that we have to navigate. There are new memos, new rules, how to relate to people, how to go out and do our groceries, how to run our businesses. And so we're feeling perpetually unsettled. It's like having the rug pulled out from under our feet every other day. So on the one hand, we feel overwhelmed. On the other hand, we feel like we can't find solid ground. And so again, this technique is designed to cultivate some internal resource. And the final reason I chose this technique is because since Dr. Nang spoke about play therapy, this technique combines mindfulness and also the imagination. So it's going to call in our imaginal skills, our ability to visualize. So it's just a nice way of concluding today's session. Okay, so this particular technique is something I learned from Bodhi Badenoch, who's a senior meditation teacher, and it's called the Earth and the Sky meditation. Okay, so that's what we're going to be exploring. Whether you're sitting on the floor or on a chair, just taking a moment to sit in a way that allows you to embody the qualities of dignity and ease. So just allowing the spine to be long and letting your chest be open. And just allowing your shoulders to gently drop down towards the ground away from your ears. You can soften your gaze, just letting your eyes rest on a point 2 to 3 feet in front of you, or you can close your eyes altogether. Now let's just ease into the practice by taking 3 rounds of the breath. Just breathe in through the nose, feeling your stomach expand. Exhale through the nose, feeling your belly moving in towards the spine. 2 more times, breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the nose, inhaling and exhaling. And for the next few minutes, I'd like you to pay more attention to your exhalation. As you breathe out, begin to notice that there is a very subtle, natural, sinking sensation when you breathe out. Like the whole body just relaxes downwards into the ground. And so as you breathe out, I'd like you to connect with that gentle, rooting, grounding, sinking sensation. Every time you breathe out, just surrender some of that sense of burden you've been carrying. Just surrender all of it to the ground that's underneath you. And with every exhale, really begin to connect with the qualities of the earth, whether you're feeling it through your buttocks if you're sitting on the ground, or if you're feeling it through your feet if you're sitting on a chair. With every exhale, just being present to the sensation of the ground underneath your feet or your sit bones. That sense of being held by something steady and stable and unyielding. And so with every exhale, connecting with the qualities of the earth. And you can imagine yourself as a tree, spreading its roots down into the ground. And with every exhale, imagine your roots growing stronger. And so that whatever winds blow your tree, whatever typhoons, whatever hurricanes strike at your trunk and at your branches, you're holding fast into the earth. Just taking a few moments with every exhalation, connecting with the qualities of rooting, of grounding, of centering. You can pause and you can just feel your feet. The earth will always stay underneath our feet. And you can rest on that. And so just connecting with that sensation, that firmness, and just allowing the earth to carry you gently. And just staying with these associations for the next few cycles of the exhale. Gently let that go. And now we move on to the next stage of this mindfulness technique. For the next couple of minutes, this time around, focus on your inhales. And notice that when you breathe in, there's a natural lengthening, expansive quality in the body. That when you breathe in, you grow taller for just a tiny bit. And this is because when your lungs expand, the bones in your spine draw apart ever so slightly. And so as you inhale, I'd like you to imagine that you're the tree growing up into the sky. Imagine your branches reaching up towards the heavens. And begin to connect with the qualities of freedom, of space, of expansiveness, of elevation, of perspective that are associated with the sky. And so as you breathe in, just imagine yourself in that horizonless blue environment. No limits as far as the eye can see. And the earth just stretching underneath you from far away. Just notice how it's a little easier to breathe. And so with every inhale, connecting with the qualities of the sky, that sense of freedom and space and liberation. And in the days ahead, anytime that you feel trapped or suffocated or overwhelmed, you can do this. You can step outside for a few moments and just look up at the sky. And inhale, draw yourself up tall, and just feel, have an embodied sense of that space, that freedom, that expansion. And just doing this for a few more cycles of the breath. Now let that go, and we'll go to the final stage of the meditation. And in the final stage, we're going to combine both of these qualities. Whenever you inhale, connect with the qualities of the sky, the sense of freedom and space and elevation. And every time you exhale, connect with the qualities of the earth, that sense of grounding and rooting and stability and safety. And because we do these techniques to serve us and what we need, as we go into this final stage, feel free to tailor the practice to what you need. So if you feel like you've been really overwhelmed, you could use more of the qualities of the sky, then focus more on your inhale. But if you've been feeling really off balance, really decentered, focus more on the qualities of the earth and stay with your exhales. And we'll just do this for a few more moments. Breathing in, connecting with the qualities of the sky. Breathing out, connecting with the qualities of the earth. And this is what it means to be human. We're creatures of both heaven and earth. And then taking your time, if you happen to close your eyes, you may gently open them now. So thank you very much. I hope you found that technique useful, and I hope it will serve you in the days ahead.
Thank you so much, Miss Aileen, for that very grounding, very relaxing experience. And even though it was short, it was a very pleasant experience to do this with you. And I hope all the other mommies out there and all the other viewers have enjoyed the process. So do comment below on what was your experience with our short meditation practice with Miss Aileen, and hopefully we'll do this again next week. Thank you, Miss Aileen. Namaste.
Namaste.
Okay, so that's it for today. Don't forget to post your sweat moments for a chance to win a Pocari gift pack. And of course, thank you for tuning in. And don't forget to put the hashtag Rise Up Shape Up and hashtag Kari Sweat Philippines. Rise Up Shape Up is brought to you by the Philippine Sports Commission, Women in Sports. And we would like to thank our partner, PAGCOR, and our event sponsor, Pocari Sweat. We'd also like to acknowledge the PSC Board of Commissioners, Chairman William I. Ramirez, Commissioners Arnold Agustin, Ramon Fernandez, Celia Kiram, and Charles Raymond Maxey. Rise Up Shape Up drops a new episode every Wednesday at 10:30 in the morning. So please do tune in on our Facebook page and click a follow. Turn your notifications on and don't forget to follow us on our other social media pages. Thank you so much and see you again next week. Namaste.
Rise up and shake.